Alright, we are getting back into it with the M37 from Resident Evil 7. So, the next thing we need to do is somehow, what I want to do is connect the pump to this little breech door here, this exit breech. That way, when you pull back, the door opens up and allows the shell to be ejected. So the way I'm thinking that'll work is we'll put a steel rod going down here that will then plug into here that will connect to our door. So I think that's what we're going to try to do next. So I guess first we need to make a little door. So, and of course it needs to be um, wide enough for this to get out here. Now I'm looking at this base here, and I think I want to shrink it down a little bit. The smaller that is, the better. Because this will be the minimum diameter of any pipe since it needs to go into there. So definitely smaller is going to be better for us. So how do I want to do that? So let's go make sure our pivot point is on medium point, and let's hit S to scale, and then Shift Y to remove that from our scale. We're just going along the Z and the X, and we'll still give it a little bit just so it's visible. Let's do 0.3 millimeters. You know what? 0.5. 0.5. Shift Y. About 0.5 millimeters. Alright, so now let's take the measurement of this guy. I'm pretty sure this is about the midway point. I'm going to hit F and 21.2. So anything that's going to fit into will have to be over 21.7 because we want a 0.5 millimeter difference at minimum. And that's to get things to fit really snugly together. And we want this to move freely, so it's going to have to be a little wider than that. Boom. Okay, so working on this pump, let's pull this forward a bit. And I'm going to use a metal rod. I think we're going to have to go through here or here. Yeah, this side, definitely. Let me put up my notes. So we can see how thick it needs to be. 3.7. And this is, most of that's hidden, so Alt-H to unhide. And this is not wide enough. That can be a problem. What we can do is widen this up a little bit by snapping that and using getting snap on and then GZ to put it up here and then GX to put it directly in front of that. And we'll just try to match that just to give it a bit more roundness. It's definitely not terribly clean, but we at least have enough distance now. So let's pull this a little over here and over here. So, you know what? Actually, I'm going to Alt-Z all of that. I'm going to go ahead and apply the mirror on this because I don't think we need that anymore. And now we're going to do that over here because I definitely want the bar over, or the steel rod over here because the breech is over here. So maybe instead we can use some proportional editing and G. Well, let's hide this stuff for now with H, and then I click over here, maybe up here, and with proportional editing on, we can move this whole area. I'm gonna roll in with the mouse, so I'm not interfering with anything outside of this circle, and we'll just pull that up a bit. And this will help give it a little more roundness. Just pull in so we're not messing with those lower vertices. Give it a little bit of space there. And then we will F3 and then go cursor active. If it's not already up here, you can just type cursor to active and then just get it from the list. So let's go F3, cursor to active. We got our cursor there. So Shift A from then, circle. And this needs to be, let me check my notes again, 3.7 in diameter. So 3.7, and this is radius, so divide by 2. And then let's rotate our circle along the x-axis 90 degrees. Oops. Let's get rid of proportional editing. Pull that out a bit. And that is going to be a real tight squeeze. I think we need to stretch this out a bit more. Let's get that proportional editing back on. Shrink it down so it's not affecting those. Let's just kind of try to smooth this area out. Man. And I don't have any thinner steel rods. And this is already so thin as it is. It's got me worried that it's going to break through these really thin walls. Maybe push it out here a little bit. That's looking ugly. Grab this and just pull it further out. Don't want to mess with those. Just to give it some more room to breathe. And we can take all these faces here and flatten them back out. So I went in faces mode, and then Alt left click to get that whole ring. And then we're going to go into vertices mode, and I'm going to hit S, Y, numpad Z. Actually, yeah, we should use the 3D cursor as our pivot point. That way they all scale to that. S, Y, numpad 0 to flatten those back out. And I think this will work. It's such a unfortunate fit, but this is what I came up with. So P, separate selection. So we got our circle separated. Now we're going to knife project. So we get the pump and edit mode, and then control left click on our circle. Get this orientation so we're facing directly at it. Knife project, and no cut through. Let's go into face mode with 3, and I'm going to turn off edge links for a moment, and let's go X-ray so we can see inside here. And then I'm going to hit E to extrude, and then I'm going to right click G, Y, give myself a little better control. What? G, Y, oh, proportional editing. Definitely want to turn that off. G, Y, there we go. Now we can see we're making our hole. So let's see how about deep it needs to go. Preferably it'd go almost all the way through just to help distribute some of that stress along the entire pump. Should be fine to go most of the way. I don't think it'll interfere with anything. Doesn't have to go all the way. Let's in fact snap it over here. Why? Feel like there's a good probability that's going to poke through. Let's see, how wide is that? Edge lengths 0.3. I think that might just be something we have to deal with. It's at least 0.5 there. Man, that is going to be really thin, but with it evenly distributed, it might be okay. We'll have to test. But in any case, we now have the hole. So now let's think. Let's go ahead and parent this. After clicking on our circle, I went ahead and shift left clicked on our pump. And then I'm going to hit Control P, bring up this menu, set parent to object. That way now the circle will move along with that. And I'm going to use this circle to be our steel rod. Which will go E to extrude, right click GY. Then I'm going to put it over here-ish. Now I'm thinking this will turn into a sort of paddle that'll turn into that door. Let's E again, GY, right clicked and then GY, then stretch it over here. Because now we got this going. That's going much further than it should. Why you parent? Oh yeah. Okay, we do not need that. That's why. Okay. Yeah, because it was still using the keyframes from this, which we're adding on to the parenting over here, so it was like going twice as far. But we got rid of the keyframes for this item, kept the keyframes for this one, so we can still move it back and forth. So that should be fine. Now we got to think, how am I going to get this door? So let's see. What can we use? Let's get the main back up. And since this is going to be the inner part of our pipe, I think we can use this, this circle here. Let's Shift D to duplicate, and then we'll scale it down. Let's go to median point for our pivot point, and then scale it down just a bit. And we want to be at least 0.5 millimeters smaller. That's 0.7. That should do. So that should be able to slide in there. And from that, I think we're going to hit P, separate selection. So this will basically be the outer or the paddle, or at least part of it. So let's get this, and then we'll go, probably not all the way up, but for now, let's just go all the way up. And we can delete that. And so now we know this will fit inside that pipe. Ooh, to open and close our breech. Let's get our 3D cursor up here on this middle point. So I'm going to hit F3, cursor to active. Let's go back here, and with that as our pivot point, we can extrude once again. Right click, extruding, and we're going towards that 3D cursor. And let's say this is, man, these are really tight confines. 1 millimeter wide, this guy is right now. And we'll take this, and we will, ooh, yeah, that's fine. We'll stretch it back. Right click, GY. Be like that. And let's parent this. Actually, we're going to join these together. So after getting my door, I'm going to shift click on this guy, and we're going to hit Control P, no, Control J to join them. Now they're one object. Mm, 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 mm. And let's get this. Is this a face? It is a face. Alright, so we got that bottom face. Now we can hit E, E, G, Z. Or E and right click to stop moving it, and then G, Z so we can take it straight down. And then this has to form a sort of loop around our steel rod. So let's think how I'm going to do that one. Okay, so let's take this and then Shift D to duplicate. And then we will, let's go to median point for our pivot point, and then S to scale outward. Let's get a measurement between these two. 5, and we need to be exactly 0.5, so we get a nice snug fit. And our rod should be able to fit in there. Should be okay. And then let's get this edge, and we'll come down here with it with E. And let's get that right on the side, I think, just snap to that point. That way, we don't need that selected. This, and then we can extrude, right click, S to scale outward. And then we'll try to get it, oh man, on this edge here, which is going to be a little tricky. Let's hide that, get that out of the way, and get this reference out of the way. And we'll go into X-ray mode, and so we need to get that guy. So let's scale it out, zoom in as close as we can, and that's about there. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and connect these. That's the beginning of our paddle. I guess this should go over here then. Just snap that onto this. And then we'll do the same. Let's go ahead and get these two, right? And then Shift D, G, Y, right click and then G, Y. And then we'll snap those over here. And so this will be our component. I'm gonna hit period to zoom in on what I'm working on. And let's get auto merge on here. We'll just grab with G and then Z. Let's go vertices select, G, Z, snap that on. That is connected. And then we will get rid of this face first of all. Let's get rid of X-ray mode. Get rid of that face. We don't want that internal geometry. And then let's collect these. I mean, I guess it wouldn't matter. Let's get this edge and then these two vertices over here. Actually add a little bit of strength, and I'm going to hit F to put a face right there. Then I'm going to seal these faces up. Over here. Get that one too. Face on that. Make sure I got the face right on this side. Yeah, I think we're good over here. Hit period. No, never mind. We missed one. Let's get these. That one. Yeah, that should do it. Put a face on there. And then we can collect these vertices and these vertices. Let's go into edge mode. Actually, let's get these inner and outer one. Wait, no, let's just get the inner ones first. So we're going to create a tube for our steel rod to fit through. So I'm right click, bridge edge loops. That's going. And then get the outer one. Don't want that or that. Not the connecting ones. And I think that's all of them. Let's check. Bridge edge loops. Now we have that going. And I think that should do that. Let's see. Okay. X-ray. Let's bring our reference back. So when you pump, that door should be open. Needs to be a little, yeah, it needs to be a little shorter on this side. Yeah. Let's get this back up, and we can just, with X-ray mode, clicked on all of those. Let's turn off auto merge just in case it does anything wonky, and we'll just GY move that back. So that should completely open the breach, and the spring ideally will move up this ramp. Did I do that already or no? Alt H, there it is. Move up this ramp, and hopefully with the breech open, the shell will fly out. I think we still need to adjust this ramp, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I think the concepts are coming together all right. I'm really worried about the durability on this one. There's so much going on in such a small space. We'll have to see. I am constantly impressed with how strong PLA is. So, hopefully, since it's a spring, it will be flexible enough to move up that ramp, and the round should be able to slide up with it just because it's small. And now how are we going to fit this guy in here? And then maybe more importantly, how are we going to keep this from like, let's individual origins, set image to geometry. Yeah, this is going to be weirdly tricky just to get this example out, but let's see if we can soldier on here. Okay, with that, F3, cursor to active. Now we got that. That's the pivot point. Cursor to active. So, oh well, doesn't matter. So now it's like, how do we keep this from just falling? Rotate Y. Falling like this. We'd need something to kind of hold it in place. But this is already taking up so much space in the area where the shell is supposed to be able to slide up there. Oh, man. We might just have to make a much smaller shell, which kind of sucks. That'd be really cool to have that coming out. We'll keep thinking about that. For now, let's go ahead and make this breach. So what we're gonna do is let's shift right click to get our 3D cursor over here, then shift A, and then we'll open up a circle, and let's say it's a little say 20 millimeters. That doesn't need to be that big. Let's say 15. All right, let's rotate it along the y-axis with R, and then Y, and then holding Control. Got it to 90 degrees, and we'll scale this down a bit. But it does need to be the size big enough for the shell. But we were also just discussing making the shell smaller. Scaling this around. So, what was the shell's width so far? 21.2. And you are 30 millimeters. Really? That's definitely off. It's probably because all the scales are off. What do we want to go with? Who do we want to go with? Let's get all of our items. And let's say this is probably the one, the main part that most of these need to be based off. So Control A, scale. That way all their scale should be based off of that. So now that is 17.6, 21.2. That's all right. I gotta check all these whole areas. Make sure the scale didn't screw with them. Let's check over here. Turn off X-ray. See how wide we are over here. 3.69. And that might be too small now. So that's like the exact. Oh, no, wait. That is about appropriate. That should actually be okay. That should be okay. Alright, back to the breach. Say this was 21.2. So let's make this one. Let's go medium point. 21.2, so maybe 22.5 to give it plenty of room to pop out. Alright. And I guess we'll have to push it. Well, I mean, they come out at kind of an angle, don't they? Kind of upward and to the side. Let's just see how this cuts. Let's see, let's get rid of that. And let's get this one in edit mode, and then control left click on our circle. And then we're going to do a knife project into that. I think that's pretty good. It's not bad. I'm going to control Z because we still need to widen this up quite a bit. Then we also need to adjust this. Oh man. There's just not going to be much to hold that barrel on there. Because now I have to open up this whole area. Maybe we can keep these intact, but we need to create that ramp. So this bottom part's going to have like a hole in it. See, that's going to end up needing to be. So this is the halfway point. So let's get the cursor over there just to give us a point of reference. And then we'll take all of these, half of it, X-ray mode on, right? And we don't need this one. for that one. And then we'll subdivide, right-click, subdivide once, and let's say twice. And then we'll take our subdivided edges. I'll push this over here, hopefully in front of where our shell's going to be passing through. And the next one will be around here-ish, I guess. And then we'll have to do similarly down there. Oh, it auto-merged those, didn't it, at some point? That's not great for what we're gonna do next. Does look really odd. Why are these like that? They came together. Okay, so this loop has a different number of vertices than this loop, which is why those ended up merging. How can I fix that? Okay, so what we're gonna do is let's click on that, Alt left click. I'm gonna hit H to hide that for a moment while I try to figure out what to do about all this. So this is going to be a bit of an issue. Say that one is going straight. This one's going straight. This one is not. I wonder. How big a problem is that going to be? So all we really need to do, let's get the middle point of this circle here. Okay, what is this? That's the center point, right? Looks like it. F3, cursor to active. Pretty sure that's the center point. It looks about right. So let's take these, everything above this point. Gosh. That's not spectacular, but, so I'm going to subdivide it. Move this over here like this. What are you attached to? I guess that's just another center point. Doesn't look like it's attached to much of anything. And then we're going to open this up. Open both of these up. We open these. Thing above that center point. Those edges. Because that'll need to be open for the round to go through. Oof, this is surprisingly complex. I'm going to go ahead and hide some of those pieces so we can see a little more clearly what exactly we got going on. So I definitely want to keep this intact, so our barrels can at least have this area to grip onto. But now we need to make our channel for a round. So these gotta turn into kind of slots. Hmm. Hold on, it's getting kind of dark in here. Something we might be able to do to push that back a bit be to root, no, scale on the one, no, it's not really what I want. So what needs to happen, that's not on the line, that is we need to get this guy, something like this. Is that going, oh, freak. Let's hide that. Now what we might be able to do is get rid of this for a moment. Are these the same diameter though? Shift D, just to check. These are the exact same, and it does look that way. And so we might be able to just get rid of this, because that is causing some problems, but that's the same number as up here. The number of vertices, it seems like. So in fact, we might need to get rid of this, but then we gotta deal with all of this, which is not what I want to deal with. Um, hmm. Okay, so we have this point that looks pretty straight. We do X-ray, see that both vertices are on that point. So we can actually go and get rid of these and just take this is not the straight point, right? Yeah, that's on the other side. Alright, let's get rid of that. So this is our straight point. We can take this, and I guess we can get rid of this now. And that. And let's take this. Oh, Shift D. Wait. Guess we should subdivide these two edges once and then twice. And once. Let's line them up with this, with G, Y, and then the next one would have to be back. Wait, why did we need that? Maybe we didn't need the second subdivide. So GY, I'm going to get rid of that. We'll just merge that. I'm going to take this and Shift D to duplicate. GY, snap that on there. And let's go ahead and get like these. Right click, bridge edge. Oh, how? These should be exactly the same. Oh, maybe because auto merge is on. Which probably meant, yeah, these auto merged. Okay, now that auto merge is off, we shift D. Then G, Y, snap over here. Let's turn options and auto merge be set to like 0.01. That way they don't merge too close together. Okay, auto merge there. Now it should be okay. We have that duplicate. Let's get rid of that. Here are those edges. Right click, bridge edge loops. Okay. Okay, now we're in business. Now the numbers are coming together. Ooh, okay. So with this now, we can get that and that. Let's get rid of all this stuff. And can only do half, which is fine. Oops. Yeah, deselect everything but half. I hope that's half. That's not. Still got that. Okay. Should be okay. That's already selected, so right click, bridge those edge loops. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so now we got that going. And then we have this. Have these edges here. Can sync those up more or less. And maybe get this very outer edge so we just have a nice flat face right there. I hope. Let me check that. Yeah, I think that's good. And then let's do the same on the other side. Excuse me. This very outer edge, then put a face on that. So now we should have a bit of a oh, wait. Okay, I think we went past half when we weren't supposed to. Okay, so Control Z to undo all that. This is about half. So let's get these over here. Shift D duplicate. Put that over there. And then I Shift D again. And then using our 3D cursor as our pivot point, I'm going to mirror across the X. Get that over there as well. And then we will take these. That should be those. And then we will bridge these edge loops, and we'll do the same thing over here. Yep. That's not what I want. Get these. These. Got those bridge edge loops. Okay, now we should be able to do that without it crossing this curve over here. You. And got you. Face. You. And got you. Face. Okay, alright, we're getting there. We're getting there. So now we have our slot. And our shell needs to fit up in there. Oh, boy. So, oh. Wait. This isn't going to be able to get through that, but we might be able to use that to our advantage. If it's possible, when we do print this, if we can get this paddle part, I'm going to go ahead and separate these. I'm going to hit this one. Those shouldn't be connected to anything. Oh yeah, I probably used measurements somewhere. There we go. Get rid of that. Let's see if that did it. There we go. Now we only got that. Hit P, separate selection. I'm going to call that steel rod. Hit P over here to get right to it. Rod. And let's call this. There we go. Breech paddle. Oops. Paddle. Okay. So if we can get the breech paddle in here through the breech opening, we might be able to hook it on there while keeping this face intact to give it enough strength, but it's kind of a big if, since there's just not a lot of room in here. Yeah, let's see again how much. Man, we're gonna need to hollow out like all this area. But an advantage to doing that, nothing needing to be back here, we can create a hollow space that's just um, open enough to fit this in. That'll help keep it aligned, so we won't have to worry about it drooping like that while it's in there. But we still have to get it in here somehow. And I don't know if I trust this breech opening to be big enough. So if we do make that paddle back here, let's get our reference back. How wide is this gonna be? Okay, let's go ahead and start working on this again. I'm gonna right click and delete half of that, Shift D, and let's go to medium point, and right click mirror vertices along the Y axis. Get it over there, GY, push it down here, and then we'll connect these with some edges, and that'll be our ejector port. I guess we can cut that into there. We have two layers, and then we have that paddle to worry about. What is this? I don't think we need that. We might need that edge, though. I'm gonna Alt-H to unhide, so we can see everything. Pretty sure those were measurements. And let's. I feel like this is way too tall or too high. We need it about there, so let me take the tallest point here. I'm gonna hit L to select everything. Then I'm gonna try to snap it to this point here. GZ. Snap it around there. Let's see if that did it. Let's get this guy in edit mode. And then control, left click. I'm gonna mesh, knife project, and let's cut through. I think that side came out okay. This one decided to ignore that for some reason. And then we got this part to worry about. Jeez, I guess we can pull that back. This area here. Let's all the way back here. Feels somewhat excessive. Let's G, Y, and snap it to the very end there. Now I'm thinking if that's loaded, right, well, I was worried about it kind of jingling around since there's going to be all this open space in here. But honestly, unless you pump it back, the breach isn't going to be open, so there's nowhere for that round to go anyway. So that might be fine. That might be fine. So let's try looking at what this knife project looks like again. I really don't like what's going on here. Why is it shooting stuff way out here? Alt H, unhide everything. Doesn't seem to be any weirdness. We can Shift N to recalculate our normals. With this in edit mode, Control left click, see if that helps. It's still creating whatever this is about. Just goes on indefinitely, okay. Why not? I don't understand why that's doing that. Well, I think this requires a bit more thought. We did get a few more things added today, so I'm going to go ahead and take a break. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. And if you don't want to go through all this modeling, I do have the STL files needed to print all of my 3D printable props available to supporters over on my Patreon. We currently have over 40 props available and are adding more all the time. This prop will also be made available once it's finished. So if you'd like to skip the modeling and gain access to an entire armory of 3D printable props, check out my Patreon, link in the description. It is only $5 a month and you gain access to the entire armory of over 40 props. Staying a member ensures you get access to everything new added to the armory immediately and of course, very much helps support the channel. Speaking of supporting, we have to show our gratitude to M. John Simon, a real hero of the channel, supporting at the hero tier. Become a hero to get yourself special mention in these very videos, and as always, like and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the next video. Until then, I have been Ken with Kenjutsu Bring It to Life, and I am out.